5:30 on January 13th, 2025. Chairman Hyde, would you mind saying the invocation for us?
I'd be glad to. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for one more day that you've given us. We just pray, Lord, that you will be with us in this meeting, that we will do the business of the county as you would have us do it. We pray for your blessings upon the people that have suffered so many tragedies in the last few days. We pray that you will give us the wisdom to know how to help and to be of help. All these things we ask in thy name.
Amen. I have a motion for the approval of the agenda. Motion by Commissioner Miller, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion for approval of minutes. Motion by Commissioner Miller. I'll second it. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstain. I wasn't here. Commissioner Show for abstention. Recognition of the public. First up, Mr. Kevin Baker. Wouldn't mind standing. Name and address for the record, please, sir.
Kevin Baker, 424 A.B. Wade Road. I'd like to talk about the election commission, the discussion on where we're going to house them and stuff. I looked at the presentation or the information that was put together attached to this resolution. This is the kind of thorough evaluation that I think should have been done before we even allowed those people to move over there. But since they had swapped states, and I know that there's a court case going on and stuff, I mean, this is the kind of work that I would expect to see going forward. Instead we have, on May 17th, there was a proposal, but that was after they were already sitting in there. This is the kind of stuff we should be doing proactively. We evaluate the space and we create a need, and then we support the need. Instead of just people just doing stuff willy-nilly. So I really applaud, I guess it was Commissioner Klein who put this together. That's the kind of professional report that I am used to seeing in my engineering career, and I hope we can work towards that end. So thanks a lot. That's all I got.
Mr. Baker. All right, Mr. Barry Cleveland. Do you mind coming up?
I have no comment.
No comment?
No comment.
Okay. All right. Includes public comments. For the chairman, I have none. For the county mayor?
No report, Mr. Chairman.
Old business, discussion for constables. I guess I'll just let you guys know that the law director did find a resolution from December 19, 2012, where the county commission actually did abolish the office of constable at the end of the term of those officers at that time. I'll make them, I don't know if I need a discussion or we can just drop it, or you want to hear from the law director?
Are you talking about discuss the whole thing or drop the whole thing?
Yes.
I'll mostly discuss.
Motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Miller. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any questions?
My question is, just because they did find that abolishment, that doesn't mean you can't entertain the notion to bring it back, right? It doesn't kill everything, right?
I'm going to defer to the law director. Mr. Law Director, do you want to address that, or your thoughts on that?
Sure. The statute, this was invoked when the statute got changed, moved these out of constitutional positions, put them under statutory guidance, gave the counties the ability, the statute gave the counties the ability to remove the constables. And within all of the statute, not once does it have a provision to reinstate constables. So it was, I believe that was a do or die moment for constables at that time. This started out when CTAS reached out to Mr. Hyde concerning some discussions they had heard were going on in this county about CTAS, and this is one of the issues that they did bring up, was they don't see an authority or provision to bring them back into existence. So this would be fertile new ground, and I would have no guidance on how to properly do that if the county chose to.
Commissioner.
So summarizing it, did you just state that there's no statute supporting a county's authority to bring constables into existence?
They were all before this statute went down. I may have cut you off, I apologize.
No, that was it.
They were constitutional officers, so it was, they were in play in every county. This statute and this repositioning of the constables, this statute at this time, when we did this, this was all new ground. And it said, all right, counties, you have the ability to remove constables since sheriffs are taking on such big roles in counties, municipalities are taking off, you've got city police and things of that nature. We're giving you a mechanism to remove constables. At nowhere within that mechanism to remove the constables do they have the ability to reinstate them.
So I'm going to,
You're going on the same line.
well, I mean,
Take it a step forward.
well, I was going to say if there's no, I'm not necessarily against having constables, but I also don't want to unless we have a compelling need, given what I just have heard, unless we have a compelling need, then I would probably move to, just remove this from all business. I just don't know that we need to strike out and try to create law, unless, if somebody can put forward a compelling need, or the sheriff or the city, jointly ask for this, then, or the judges ask for it. I mean, happy to do it, but if there's no mechanism in law to do it, and then we would be potentially kind of wading into new ground, I don't know that it's a good idea. So given that, I'm going to move to strike it.
Based on that conversation.
Commissioner Jones?
I just want to fully understand again, the whole, 95 counties have the ability to have constables, right? Given by the state of Tennessee. That authority is given to us to have them if we want them. We said no in 2012, right?
Because the state changed the definition and dynamic of a constable, which allowed them to operate it by statute where they couldn't before. Now, I know we're splitting hairs here, but that's a big distinction when it comes to what a county can do and can't do. So, yes, in general terms, that occurred. What you said did occur, but just from one direction is the way the statute's written, which is county, you can get rid of them if you want to. There wasn't a county that existed that didn't have them to begin with. So this was only a tool to get rid of them.
So, what Commissioner Schultz said, unless there's an express need for them, I think was what he's getting at. We've already proven the need with all the discussion we've had in the months prior. The Sheriff's Department said that they could put them to use, and it would help a lot with the shortages they have with the ability to serve warrants, civil warrants and stuff like that. And so I think it's still a worthwhile thing if there's an avenue to do it. You say there's absolutely no avenue, then I agree, we take it off. But if there's a way to reverse it or say we want them now.
I think prior commissions has forced your hands by removing them anyway. That's our problem. We're not revisiting this as to, hey, do we want them or do we not want them? We already got rid of them.
Yeah, I didn't know if it's worth asking the states if there's a mechanism to do it. The constables came and spoke extensively. Do you think they would understand or realize, was that all hinged on what they thought was that we had a resolution that only took certain powers away from them, but they were still around?
Yes.
Everything makes sense. Is that why they're not here tonight? Do they know all that? Have they given up?
I'm not sure. I don't know if they've given up, but I mean, I don't know. I think they were.
I have conveyed this to Mr. Griffin, yes.
Has he conceded that, or is he looking into anything?
I don't go down that whole, that's not my purview. I just updated him with what we knew. I did not want him to be wasting time on his part if he felt it unnecessary, but I did not steer him one way or the other.
So I mean, I guess we can always bring it back if it comes back with new information.
Chairman Hunt?
I was just going to say that, CTAS reached out to me. I didn't reach out to them. There happened to be one of their lawyers listening to our last meeting with the constables when they were here. And, then he had, the person, Robertson.
Wesley Robertson.
Wes Robertson. He called me when this attorney talked with him about it. And, he was pretty adamant that their opinion, which is usually what, legislators listen to, most often, CTAS, but they were adamant that, once abolished, they're forever abolished, that there was no mechanism to reactivate the office. And I did send a message to Mr. Griffin, and I think I sent the law office some paperwork that I asked them to mail me on their opinion of it. But they were pretty adamant that they did not see a legal way that we could, that anyone, once abolished in Tennessee, could reinstate.
So the state legislature wrote a one-way law. Is that what you're saying?
I think the intent doesn't mean to do away with them. Great.
Commissioner Becker?
That's an on-call question.
We don't business, we don't, I mean, we can just remove it, so we don't need a vote. So it's fine. We'll remove that from all business. Some changes, we'll revisit that. All right, item B of all business is a discussion on property assessors appraisals and election boundary concerns. This was brought up by Commissioner Rogers, and both Commissioner Rogers is here and property assessors are here. I'll make a motion to suspend the rules. Second. All fair side? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Commissioner Rogers, would you mind coming up and kind of sharing kind of there's a lot of information in this packet that you kind of referenced and dug into, like what your concerns were, what kind of led you down this rabbit hole, and the revelation, kind of what your thoughts were, and we can have the property assessor address any questions.
This is one of the rabbit holes. So I come to you this afternoon as a son of an elderly father plus a county commissioner. October the 23rd, 2024, we came here to the trustee's office, was going to pay for land taxes and file for freeze of land taxes, just like we've always done for the last 6 years, probably, because it was actually frozen in 2019. Dad's taxes was on his property. We was informed when we was at the Cindy Williams' office that Dad's taxes was going to go up some $600 this year. We said, well, how's that? It was on a freeze. So, the lady there told us that we should take the last 5 years as a blessing and a break, because there's been an error in the system, and Dad should have been paying $1,400 something over the period of the previous 5 years. Because in the state of Tennessee, state law says that you can only tax freeze the dwelling plus 5 acres, and the assessor has some leeway, plus or minus, what that 5 acres is over. Like if it's 5.5 acres, I think the assessor has the ability to say, yeah, we're going to freeze the 5.5 plus the dwelling. So it didn't make any sense to us, and first of all, the concern was we never received a notice of his taxes. But we followed suit like we've done years before. So, spoke to the lady in Ms. Williams' office, figured out that we had to go up to the second floor to Mr. Hurt's office, tax assessor's office. I asked for the tax card for 2019. There was a gentleman there who asked me why was we there. I said there's a discrepancy in the tax and the appraisal value, what it's been for the last several years. And he said, okay. He said, well, we'll try to work through it. He showed the tax cards from 19 all the way to 24. There was a merge in the two parcels. 2101 was merged with another parcel that was there, the other 4.03 acres. That made the total acreage 9.03. So I started talking to the gentleman back and forth, And I said, well, we never received this tax notice. And he was quick to ask me, well, then why are you here today? I just turned around and left. After I made sure that he understood that I was county commissioner, if they treated all people of this magnitude, then no wonder they don't like coming to the county building to take care of their business and all that. And then I went to the mayor's office, asked the mayor what to do. The mayor was kind enough to tell me to file an appeal with the State Board of Equalization. And that's set for February the 20th. So, take that part and sort that through as a son. Then I put on the county commissioner's hat. And I started digging. I sent emails to Comptroller Treasury. Mr. Hurt and I had several emails back and forth. Concerning factors that I have from Comptroller Treasury says that there was a change in the system from the tax assessor that was going from, I believe, what was a Patriot system to now a state system, and they recognized there were some flaws in some of the land as it converted from one system to the other. So I asked to see that past history on the land. Well, naturally, when you make a system change, none of that data is ever able to be found. And then they told me that tax year 2021 to tax year 2022, and tax year 2022, the data from 2021 was just dumped.
Can I pause? So we have, and maybe this question for Mr. Hurt, have we purged? So when we change over the system, did we purge old data? Why?
Data from the Patriot system was not brought over to us. We went back and forth with the company to get that data. The assessor before me, Don Weber, and they said that we would have to pay for the data. Didn't feel like that was correct.
Wait, what? So
I think we went to Mr. Sidler with that also to see whether or not we could get that data, and
so the
we were unable to get the data.
That's news to me. About coming to me, I've heard some of these.
I mean,
I think Mr. Lindell asked us to look up the contract from Patriot.
so what? Okay, I'm gonna hand it back to you. But you know what? I've got many thoughts that are going on right here. At the end of the day,
It gets better.
it is. We can fight that in court all day long. We own that data. We will win that. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so I can say this, good luck. And if they want to do that, we will crush these people like that.
And I agree, but I was not the assessor at the time.
Well, I know, but, we weren't commissioners at the time, but we own it now, right? You know what I mean? Like, so it's one of these, the buck stops here kind of thing. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you're fine. So then to find out that the data in 2022 was just a blind copy dump piece of data that was used in 2021. So I didn't know that from the system, yeah. Well, no, from system to system.
Correct.
Yeah.
You're talking about the state system.
The state system didn't happen, from my understanding, until 2023.
Oh.
So from 2021 to 2022, it was just a mirror copy of that. So I don't know how that happened. So then,
You're talking about the Patriot data, the old data?
mm-hmm.
But before we go on, can I ask, we have the previous assessor of property here. What's up with this Patriot system? Why can't we get our data? I'm sorry I'm stuck on this.
I don't know the discussions between Don Little and Patriot, so I really,
How long did we have Patriot?
oh God, we got them in
I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but did
Yeah, no,
you not deal with them? I mean, you were the assessor.
Right.
So like, it's not, Mr. Linville was in there for like 6 months, like, do you have?
He didn't come to me for assistance on this, so I don't know.
I'm sorry, and John, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but like, this is like, if you're the commander, everything your unit does or fails to do, you know what I mean? Like, this is unreal. Like, I'm just gonna stop. Like, all right, sorry.
So then, I said, well, you know what, something, it just didn't settle right. So I started reaching out to comptroller and I reached out to CTAS. So, and there's so according to, my questions is tax year 2022, I wanted to know all the parcels that was in Sumner County that was taxes were frozen over 5 acres in 2022. I also wanted to see 100% of the land units that was frozen, in the county. And then I was going down the trail as a commissioner, is what is our budget surplus? What is our budget shortfall? Because if we're freezing people's land that's not supposed to be frozen over 5 acres, then we as a county have a shortfall. But if we're assessing what's not supposed to be frozen, then we have the surplus. I still get to get those answers. So, and then I also asked for, how does the tax assessor have permission, in my opinion, to levy taxes? Because if they're saying that it's okay to freeze anything over 5 acres, which is what state law says, my opinion is they're levying taxes. So I was curious as to how that would work. And then how does the tax assessor just send prior year's data to the trustees for collection, meaning 21 to 22, just the same data? How can they do that? Was there not any improvements? Was there not any new homes in Sumner County? Was there not any new developments, new dwellings? I don't know. And then how do we, as the legislative body for the county, how do we make it right to the citizens? Well, the interesting part is that CTAS is doing this, county office is doing this back to CTAS, comptroller's office is doing this, that everybody's willing to help, and I still don't have answers. Again, the administrative hearing is set for February 20th. Hopefully I'll have some answers then, and be able to come back with something in March. So, I said, you know what, something still doesn't seem right. I kept digging. So, on this piece of property, when we've lived, Dad has lived at his property since 1990. And then the house was developed in 92. So I think this email string is in the packet with the City of Portland's city limit sign. Sure, it's only a city limit sign, but the problem is election boundaries are set with city limits. This one property that I am aware of, and several other ones around this road, it has Dad's land, which is all one parcel, split in County Commission District 2 and County Commissioner District 5. Dad's property sits outside the city limits of Portland. He should be all County Commission District 5. So I contacted the Election Commission, and I think you all have that in your packet as well. Election Commission was replied back with a reply to say that they use the boundaries and the maps that are supplied from the city. Well, contacted the City of Portland. We're still going back and forth with the city. I am still going back and forth with the City of Portland because that line, their city limits line, is incorrect. So apparently the city limits line is what drives election boundaries in this area. And then, of course, all that comes back up to the Election Commission, and that's how they have their elections. So this has turned into a broad, open can of worms with a lot of people involved.
So your dad's property is 100% county, not incorporated in the city.
Correct.
But yet the Election Commission has subdivided your dad's property into 2 different voting districts.
Based on the information from the City of Portland.
So that because the City of Portland has incorrectly and wrongly captured half of your dad's property into the city limits of Portland, even though it's not. So he doesn't pay any city taxes.
Never have.
So, he's never voted in Portland.
No.
Portland has not had yet to resolve their boundary issue that's wrong on your dad's property, which I guess the election commission is saying it's Portland's fault.
Yeah, it's another pointing the finger.
But I'm just trying to find out where they're pointing. So right now it's Portland's fault.
Correct.
They have the wrong city boundary, which is created the election commission's fault of creating the two different voting districts on the same piece of property, one city limits in one county.
Correct.
Where is Portland getting there?
They
just make it.
so they have when they have resolutions or ordinances at the city level that annexes property in the city, that's how they move their boundaries.
And is it within that urban growth boundary?
Yep.
So they,
But not the city limits. So here's the crazy part. City of Portland sent me the resolution last week that takes in 300 foot from the center of the road. Well, that's the lots that's going around the road, so they verified it's their error, but they've yet to fix it.
so I feel like we have two things going on here. That is, well, we have a lot more than that, but at least we've got two, sorry, did I cut you off? We have at least two things that we need to address. This one, the second one, regarding the election commission and the city of Portland is, while not good, it's at least understandable, and there can be, that there could be some conflict there. I mean, it's something that needs to get fixed, but it doesn't feel as egregious to me as this first one, which is we're changing the way, and I'm just trying to simplify here, because we're changing a boundary for a property, and that boundary can, depending on if we merge two properties together, which I think was the case with your dad, it could pull out the entire property from a shielding and taxation.
I don't think that's a true statement.
Is that second part not what
I
happened?
think you can still get it up to 5 acres.
Right, but if the whole property is now 9 acres, you still get
5
that
acres.
5, but did they do that?
Yes.
Anything 5 and 5.
So
But did they assess the entire 9 or however?
So in the first, since from 2019 to 2020, tax year 23, that was all lumped in as one part.
Right.
And they gave him a tax freeze on the total 9.03 acres.
Got it.
That's what I know. And he was frozen forever.
Well, that might just be, so that could be, good, and that could be a mistake, I can get that.
And that was never caught until he went to the new system.
Okay.
So my question is, how many parcels did this happen to all over the county?
Yep. And
Where are they like he was?
that's right, and that's why this is so egregious, because this is what bothers me. We can't answer that question because we can't go back and look at the old data, and we have paid a company for 10 years, and they can't, and you cannot argue that that's their data. It's our data. It's public data. And we can't get it. I want to know, because I want to actually do something out there. Buck stops here. Like, we're not doing this anymore. What can we do? I would ask our county attorney, what can we do to forcibly take this data from that company? What can we do?
I do not know what the terms of the inception contract were, so I don't know what they said they agreed to keep.
Let's go ahead.
The only thing I was gonna say is if this happened to one,
Yeah,
how many others across the county? And I'm in the most rural district of the county, so how many people has this happened to that we've just now caught, or that's just got the, for lack of better words, not the tooth on horns, but the grit to see and dig and find out what's going on with all this stuff? I mean,
So basically, what you're saying, we don't know how, until we get this data, how many other property owners might have had 8 acres, 15 acres, 13 acres, 6 acres, whatever, but they were getting a tax freeze on the entire property, whereas according to the state, you were only supposed to get a tax freeze
the dwelling plus 5, or the dwelling
and 5 acres. Anything over that 5 acres was not correct. But that should have always been happening, even with the old Patriots. That's correct. So now, to your point, until we have that data, we don't know excess or a lack, that shortfall. So, okay, I just want to make sure I was clearly understanding that.
I just find it hard to believe with a county as many parcels that we have, that Lucky me, or Lucky Dad, was on the parcel all the way across the county that's broken.
I agree.
That just seems odd,
Well, we won't know until we get that data.
That's right.
which is gone.
Well,
That's what I meant, so.
It's not gone, you have to pay for it.
Is there, I'm ready to go with that. Is there any other questions for Darrell specifically, or Mr. Hurd?
I'm curious, how much do they want to charge us for the day?
I was not present with all those negotiations. We asked, I did, my chief deputy, the chairman might also, asked to have that data. Thought it would make it much easier to go through the transition, and it just did not happen.
I'm just curious.
$1,000, yeah.
20,000?
No, it was, but I don't remember.
Maybe like a couple $100,000 or something, or like $1 million, I don't know.
I mean, off the top of my head, it was, what, $60,000, but they were wanting to charge us a year, though, right?
So per year. So 50 or 60 per year.
Yes.
Just
Per section of the data, just to be able to view the data.
Oh, not to have it?
Just to view.
Well, I don't know if that meant us physically having it on site
It's,
or what.
we own this data.
So, is there any other questions for Professor Hurd? Tim?
So just to further clarify, the data is not gone. It's just inaccessible because of money.
I cannot speak to that whatsoever. I wouldn't be surprised if the company that we were contracted with before has already purged it.
Can you reach out to them and find out that for sure and report back to this body, just so we know the answer on that? To purge data, to me, that you said was accessible for a certain amount of money, that doesn't sound good. Like, who would purge data? Nobody does that, you know. There's, you don't, yeah, there's,
I don't know that for sure. I will
please find out and just send an email to Bob. We'll wait till next month to find out. We could get an email saying, yes, it is available for this much fee per section of year that we want to research, see what they're asking and how long it's going to be available and if it's going to be purchased.
Any other questions for him? I'll bring us back in session.
Just a comment. I would assume, maybe a bad assumption, that there's a two-way, whether it's frozen or not, or it's not, and it should be. I would assume with the description would be that the county's not getting enough taxes versus having a shortfall. I think counties probably have a shortfall, not an excess, with the way it's been described. Because it was frozen.
Well, we only have a data point of one.
Well, I know, but I don't see a scenario where it would be the exact opposite. I just don't see that scenario existing. I see scenarios like the one described here. I can see where that could exist several
Where people are paying more than they should because they would catch it themselves.
know that they're not paying.
No, you said you don't see.
Well,
I don't see how that scenario exists.
I do.
Darrell's point is that there could be a surplus because the freezes, people who were frozen at 9 acres, 15 acres aren't frozen anymore, and now we're making more money.
Well, my understanding what was
We have a surplus off his property this year. This is the fact.
When we budgeted, we was budgeted on the previous year's number.
But I'm just saying, now we have a surplus on your father's property.
Well,
that's how it should be.
That's not a surplus.
That's not a surplus. That's actual.
But if we weren't collecting it before and we're collecting it now.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
we could go back
I'm
and
just
try
saying,
to get.
comparing old data to new. I'm not talking about actual, I'm talking about like just comparing.
Yeah. But my point is that he's not paying more than he should. It's just he wasn't paying as much as he should have if it was called or whatever notice. Anyway, we're not gonna fix that.
Well, that's not part of it. I mean, I think Darrell feels like he's paying more than he should now, because of a problem that the county made, a mistake the county made.
I don't know, is that, we're under.
Part of it is too, that his appraisal rate, and this, I think this could be argued all the way across the county. First of all, we live in Portland. Our land value there is not the same as in Hendersonville. he's got the 4.03 acres is wetlands, it's not a buildable lot. So it's not gonna be the same price as the equation for, you know, that they use for assessment all the way across the county. So, could argue, yeah, he's being overcharged over that, or over-assessed, because they're charging for a swamp that's not buildable, as something that you would be able to build on top of the hill. So,
Yeah,
that argument could be there,
yeah, and I think there's a lot of property owners who believe they're over-assessed.
And again, it goes back to, let me just make sure I'm clear on this, is I think that we had over 3,000 pieces of mail that was returned back here where people didn't get their notice of assessments. So that's another thing that I have questions with. Are we giving them adequate notice to say, hey, here's your time to appeal, and then they come down here and they didn't know they had to appeal? Well, now, again, are they gonna follow the Board of Equalization? Or are they gonna have a question asked to them, well, why are you here today? I did.
Any more questions for Commissioner Rogers or Mr. Hurd? We'll bring us back into session, Mr. Schiff.
So, I mean, we could argue back and forth over overcharge, undercharge. I mean, that's what people do all the time. I mean, I'm not taking a position one way or the other. What is factually clear is that we can't make a good determination holistically because we can't currently find this data. So I want to solve, as opposed to doing the daisy chain of blame, what can we do? Can we, you know, I think the first thing that probably needs to happen is our county attorney needs to review the contracts with the Patriot system. I mean, I think that's absolutely needs to happen. And then, subsequent to that, we need to, at a minimum, make an outreach to these folks, because a few things can happen here, right? Like, depending on what the
Define these folks,
the Patriot company, sorry. You know, there's a few things that can happen, right? And one is that this is an ironclad contract that gives them the ability to hold our data unless Sumner County gives up its firstborn. And if that's the case, then, you know, we have to figure out how to pay the extortion fees for data that's public record, that should be public record and is not owned by a private entity. So that's one. Another is that, you know, that contract is not so ironclad, and or certain facets of state law give the county other options to retrieve that data, in which case we can compel this entity to do so, the Patriot company. So we don't know that now. I don't know that we need a motion for it, but I just really hope that we don't continue to point fingers around in a circle, and that when we come here next month, we have from our county attorney and from the tax assessor, I'm not saying, not anybody's fault now, it doesn't matter whose fault it was. What matters is that we solve the problem, and we come back in a month, and we actually have a course of action or two presented to this body that we can take. That's what I hope happens, because that's the right thing to do. That's my opinion.
Just to recap, so Mr. Hurd has agreed with us to ask him to contact Patriot. I guess finding out how many years there are, Mr. Hurd, as far as like what they're trying to charge, or do they still have the data? But I guess that contract, do you have that contract, Mr. Waldrick, or is that something you need to get from me?
I would need to get it from either
Do you
him
have
or
that contract,
finance.
Mr. Hurd, that you could get to the law director as far as the Patriot system?
Finance may have a copy as well.
I'm not sure that I can put my hands on it, to be quite honest with you.
So maybe finance?
Possibly, I can reach out to David.
Well, Mr. Roderick, would you mind, I guess, two things, get the contract from finance, or reach out to finance, or work with Mr. Hurt on the contract, if he can find it. Mr. Hurt, I guess, reaching out to the Patriot to ask, do they have the data, like how much, I don't know how many years of data, I guess it was around like 8 years data, 6 years data, whatever that was.
Whatever we
and what they were trying to charge us for data we've already paid for once, what they were trying to double charge us for, I guess, to, you said $50,000 or $60,000 you thought, for that data. Yeah, per year. Yeah. Correct. And I guess just asking those questions, so, how many years was it, total cost to view it, total cost to buy it back? I guess the very first question is, do they still have it? And then I guess hopefully looking at that contract with water directors, whether they're, whatever that, obliged to keep it or whatnot, what we can do about it.
Last question is there a timeline? That was the last question.
Okay. I guess if there's a timeline on their purging it, but that would probably be in the contract, I assume. If there's a contract, this is all in the contract, which it should be.
That's much more part of this point to gain for prior information. I would like to point out, if I may, we've got two different things going on here. The first thing we need to make sure of is, are we doing it right now? Because everything I find out on this stuff is what we did in the past. And we get those answers back and what steps you want to take with how it was done in the past. These are never going to meet. So we've got to make absolutely certain what's going on today is the way it's supposed to be done.
Talking about with the state system.
With whatever our system is that we're using to ensure that the proper amounts are being paid on these parcels. Because everything I find out for you on Patriot is really academic. It's about discussing what ifs and what we can do different and things of that nature, but there's not going to be anything productive other than an after-action review that comes out of this Patriot thing.
I mean, that's right.
Because it's already been done.
Well, if we can get the data, I think.
Yes, and then you can make decisions on whether there's reimbursements that need to be in play if we didn't capture enough, what you may want to do on those things. But I just strongly encourage you to make sure that what we're using today is the right thing, it's moving the correct way, it's capturing the parcel dollars the way it's supposed to, and that these get treated as two separate things.
Sure, but to the point, we won't know have the information of what's being done right or wrong until we see that.
I understand that, but not having that information doesn't keep us from knowing what it takes to do it right now.
Correct, but there's also the fact of the property lines in Portland are drawn wrong for the city on the parcel.
Yes.
And so, how many, that's affecting election commissions.
Yes.
It's not a tax issue, though.
It's not a tax issue, but I mean, it's a, a secondary and tertiary order of effect that's happening because of this Patriot system.
And once I get some information on that, that's going to be a very interesting tactic on how you want to play in that, since we've got a municipality involved as well. But yes, I don't disagree that action will come from that, but I really want to be clear that we need to make sure what's happening from this day forward is being handled properly. Taking away all the side events that came out of Commissioner Rogers' parcel.
Mr. Beck?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Mr. Stiller's saying. I mean, regardless if we have the old data, we don't need that to understand if we're calculating everything correctly
Today.
Yeah, and I would agree that it's probably not just one parcel that was impacted, but from my understanding is even Commissioner Rogers' father's properties, even though it's not really what he would prefer, it's being calculated properly by today's system. So, taking that aside, it sounds like there's not a today issue on that one property, and I don't know, Mr. Hurd can probably go there and or I would ask him to just audit and make sure all the other properties are being properly handled by today's system or whatever, calculation or whatnot.
Is there a, I mean, I would assume, is there a state, and, I mean, Mr. Mayor, you probably know this, but is there not a state level audit that occurs? I mean, there's gotta be some kind of check here. I mean, clearly, one way or the other, it failed on some points, right? I mean, no system's perfect, but I mean, either it was, given what we know from Mr. Rogers' statement, either it was wrong before or it's wrong now. Again, I'm not making an opinion on which way is right. I'm just saying that they can't both be true. So what that means is that, assuming we've had audits in the past, those audits don't catch anything. So I'm just, or they didn't catch this. So, I mean, maybe just, what is the audit, the third-party audit process? Have we ever had a problem with it? And can it be, better employed this time?
Yeah, so there's some misunderstandings, and let me try to bring a little bit of clarity without trying to delve into the constitutional office that I'm no longer holding. The property tax is calculated outside of the system, okay? Regardless if you're on the state system, if you're on Patriot, if you're on Manatron, whatever, E-Ring, whatever CAMA system you use, the tax freeze is a state program that's calculated outside of that. The only thing you draw from these systems is the value, okay? Now, the value will only change once every 5 years unless something's added or deleted from that property. So that's why you won't see changes in most of the properties per year, because we won't change it until the next reappraisal. And that next reappraisal obviously was this past year in '24. So you take the values that were there at that time and you plug them into a spreadsheet. Now here's where the problem came. It's my understanding of this isolated situation is that there was a land merge, okay, where they merged two parcels, which increased the value and increased the property acreage. Well, unfortunately, the person doing the tax freeze calculations, doing the spreadsheet, did not catch that the way they should have and continued an entire tax freeze on the property, even though the acreage went from, and I don't remember the exact numbers, from 4 to whatever acres, 8 acres, 9 acres. They continued a total tax freeze on that property. Once that was identified, they said, okay, going forward, we're not going to go back. We're not going to go back and back assess the property, but going forward, we're going to have to do it the correct way. So that happens in an isolated situation. Now, we can pull a spreadsheet of all the properties that are on tax freeze. That's easy to do. And I think that may be in your packet. I don't know. I can't remember if that was in there or not. But we can pull that and we can say, okay, these are the acreages that are on tax freeze. And then we can show, okay, well, this is 5.01, or this was only 2 acres, or this was just a lot. All of that's captured right now, and you can glean that information. But going back and pulling Patriot, pulling that data will not help you answer this question. It won't do it. Now, getting the data from Patriot, we can go down that trail, and I'll be more than happy to make phone calls on that. I don't know if I can help or not. My relationship with Patriot ended when I became mayor, and when the next assessor decided to go to the state system.
Any further discussion on this? We got some information to get back from the law director, from the property assessor. We can keep this on old business right now. No further discussion or action. All right. Without objection, keep this under old business and have the law director report back to us. And the property assessor email us or look for the law director on any information there. Thank you. All right. Item C is appointment of Title 6 coordinator. So I don't know what this is for. This is old business.
This is we're running into some issues with grants, I'm being told, where we're needing a Title 6 coordinator as a designated appointee for the county, and there's some certain requirements as far as posting pamphlets, things of that nature that you tend to see hanging in break rooms and things like that with some of these other federal laws. So the point of this is to make a determination on where that coordinator needs to be.
Asking, to me, being the finance. grant coordinator with, I mean, if it's doing grant stuff.
Well, this isn't, we're doing it because a grant has required it. The problem is this is a county-wide issue, so whoever, I won't say whoever handles it, they could all be for different reasons and issues, but this would be for any Title VI impact in the county. It won't just be related to grants. Grants is what caused us to see this problem.
I mean, can you define, I guess, what Title VI is for?
It's sex, race, religion, things of that nature.
So what do we mean? So what is the specific thing that we're not doing that?
We've just,
Oh, sorry.
Just need to appoint somebody.
we've not done anything wrong, it's just to continue on and say we're in compliance with Title VI. We've got to have a designated,
An appointee, somebody to.
we've got to have a Title
Who was
VI
the appointee
coordinator.
prior to
And where do you want it to come out of?
2025? I mean,
We don't have one,
we've never had one
no,
ever in the county.
not as far as I know.
Okay. Commissioner Jones?
So, my work makes us go through anti-discrimination, training every year, and that stuff's readily available from the federal government. Why can't we just comply by adopting whatever is required of the state of Tennessee and post it? Why do we have to have a person?
Because it says we have to,
We have to have a person.
on these grant provisions, yes, so there will be a Title VI
Can't it be a
coordinator.
part-time position? Just
I mean,
some kind of title position,
I
where they
don't think
work
there's
once a
anything
week
to
at
do. Well, I nominate the law director.
Second.
You nominate me to do what?
I don't know, whatever needs, I mean,
All right, if you want.
I mean, does anything need to be done?
No, that's fine, that impacts my budget request next year, but,
what does the Title VI coordinator do? Is it a full-time position? Is this just like just a?
you know, to be perfectly honest, I think it's a federal checklist requirement, and we say we've got one.
So that's.
So it won't impact your
budget.
budget, so it won't impact your budget then. I nominate.
Oh, no,
nominate Steve.
no, there's a lot of research that goes into this, and.
No, you just said otherwise.
And a bunch of trips to Disney World for.
So it sounds like it's obviously a title only, so it makes sense to me for it to be in the law director's office.
Or should it be in the finance, where because if it's a grant that's requiring it to be done, I would say keep it in finance. Just name somebody in finance.
It's the grant. Is it,
Commissioner Becker?
if I understand it right, these grants that we're applying, some of the grants we're applying for, it just requires that this coordinator is this.
Correct.
A title.
So yes, I think it makes sense, but it's not really tied to the grant. The grant just requires
Correct.
a coordinator. So I think it makes sense for this to reside in the law.
I'll amend the motion, but he's first.
No, I was gonna say, I think it basically just entails making sure that all that information is available and that all employees are complying with it, whether that is mandatory training or papers posted.
We'll increase your budget by $3 for printing.
In the break room.
I joke around, but there's nominal
To make it separate.
training
You
and
can take it as far as-
requirements placed on that coordinator.
You can take it as far as you wanna take it, I mean.
We gotta get going, Tim, but.
Yeah, I was just gonna amend this to say that we should appoint the law director or his designee within his office.
All right, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, sir. I have another.
Careful what you have to the agenda.
Well, remind me never to go through a committee. There's a potential conflict, but I don't think it's enough to justify change.
I was just questioning if the county was sued, would he have to step aside and we hire another law firm?
That's a good question.
So I say finance.
Is there,
Do we need to settle this today? Can we take?
I was gonna say, if all kidding aside, if you want it to be one of the two of us, then I think we need to kick it down so that finance and I can figure out the best way to navigate
I'll make a
this.
motion to reconsider.
second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Make a motion to, I guess, we'll defer this till February. I have a law director and finance director talk.
Give a recommendation.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Provide a recommendation.
That's fine.
Any opposed? All right. old business. All right, new business, veteran service report and presentation, Mr. Oakley.
Last month, we had quite a few pension requests. We also had quite a few, we identified another family in the county that was falling prey to the VA and VFW referred as claim sharks. There were companies that kind of were overcharging these folks for services they weren't providing. They reached out to us, we identified them, and I think you see in the report that we increased the benefit by 2.5 times. The family, both in terms of them actually getting the help that they need, plus the money from the VA to pay for it. We're staying busy, we're booked up, and happy to serve.
Thank you, sir. I have a question.
Sir?
On that, I've heard that mentioned a couple of times about the claim shark.
Yeah.
Is there any type of information you can put out, or an avenue that you can think of that we could put out to let people know to come ask you about stuff like that? Because I hate to hear people get taken advantage of. I know like Henderson has an information channel on Channel 3.
Yeah.
Any type of broadcasting of.
I'll tell you, I mean, we've got a couple of, things that we posted some of the VFW stuff. It's actually been on Facebook quite a bit. VFW, not even so much my department, some of the individual veteran service organizations in the county. They've been posting information coming from the VFW, from MOA. This is also one of the big public information pushes from the VA, so it's all over their website. That we've gotten it down to a few companies, and the VFW's actually named some companies on their website. And unfortunately, these companies are doing business in the county.
How many people do you think are still falling prey to it?
Just one in the last couple of months, and then probably 20 to 50.
I just wanted to just share it like a link somewhere and get all the transcripts to share it. You put something out on email.
Yeah, I mean, there's been federal legislation proposed to make this criminal behavior. Right now, it's just illegal, but what happens is that they tend to be centered around lawyers or law firms, and the law firm will just disband one company and open up another one. That's happened quite often. And because without criminal penalties, this has been happening quite a bit.
But if you could put out an email or something, just and share it to the county with a link or something on it, just saying, hey guys, share this to your page, and it has just a simple statement saying, if any of your loved ones falling prey to this, watch out for this.
Right.
And then
I'll put some stuff together in the VFW and the VA.
people can share with their parents.
Motion to group and approve B, C, and D.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I guess we're done. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Jeff.
Sorry.
All right, B, C, and D are all approved, you can go into the full commission. Be happy to answer any questions about nonprofit donation, but that's why I put it on there, but we'll go to full commission. Item E, discussion, election commission, move to approve. Got a motion to approve, second by Commissioner Miller. Is there any discussion? Questions for law director?
If anybody has questions or plans on voting no, I would like to hear why. Otherwise, I hope we get a unanimous decision out of the research that was done out of the committee.
I just want to ask a question. I'm not against this. I don't, I've been somewhat agnostic about where specifically the election commission goes. I don't really care. The thing that bothers me about this whole fight that we got into is that how I became involved was through my role as budget chair, and the first time I heard about any of this was when we began to take out contracts at a new location, and then after a bit of digging, we didn't see any resolution or any approval to move that, and then the next time I had begun having conversations with Mr. Alan Emling about, where to have the election commission move. We had not made any decisions. We were just trying to figure out a problem that would be amenable to everybody, and then the next thing I knew, we were being sued, and I had the AP in my face. So beyond that, I don't really care where they go. I guess I'm just interested in what the the details of this proposal are, just to kind of get them out on the record. It looks to me that we're gonna put them in the archives building. And what are, yeah, what else is there another?
Plan the square footage on there, just to keep it all over here.
It's, if I may,
Go ahead.
it's a split decision. It's, bulk items at archives, keeping the election commission office here where they're at currently, or where they have space currently, down on the, first floor, I believe.
Their administrative office is right in there.
Yes. And then that keeps them centrally
Storage.
located with, other county building
This-
offices.
And to be clear, this doesn't specifically do anything about where we do voting or early voting or anything.
No.
This is just where they move.
This is
Commissioner
merely
Klein just made-
relocation.
Yeah.
Several times I had people, while we were doing this process, actually one of the nights we were meeting here in the ad hoc, people were coming here looking for early voting, because they still thought it was in this building.
But
So
that's
it used to be
not this is
No.
just where.
You asked about early voting.
Yeah, that's just.
But that's why this has gotten intermingled a little bit. All Commissioner Klein, and we can suspend the rules if we want to, he's in the audience, it just noticed if the county ever wanted to have this as a voting location, ever, that in that spot back there with the roll-up door and the access, that they could use that as a staging ground for that as well. So I mean, that's not part of this. That's not a recommendation. That was just a sidebar conversation that kind of got looped in. I think conflated it in the fact that people were literally coming to us and asking if they early voted here while we were having these meetings. So it was kind of a weird timing thing. But the basic thing is the fact of the space, using that space at the TRC building that we've lost, over $100,000 of income for an illegal move that we feel based on there's no budget, there's no approval by the county commission. They wrongfully moved over there, and we lost income on that, over $100,000 a year. And we've also, it's the space that we've designated for the maintenance department to go, the 6,000 square feet in the back, all of it. It worked very well for them. In the back of the archives building, it's just junk. It's being stored by these departments that can be moved down to the bottom of this building in the basement to move out the maintenance guys, put them in that other space, part of it. And, and keeping the election people here close, it only makes sense to me. I mean, this is a pretty logical solution that Commissioner Klein has spent a lot of time working on and lighting up.
The only other question I had was, does this run us afoul of Judge Oliver's ruling?
This is specifically required because of Judge Oliver. That's why we are here.
That's why we're doing this.
Credit to Cinco.
Commissioner Jones.
So there was a floor plan that was shown last, was it in-house or last legislature?
It was not in the packet, it was in the agenda.
But if you know, that's fine, but if not, I would like to ask Mr. Klein, I think it was 5,000 square feet, what we're proposing to them, correct?
6,500 square feet in the back of the archive.
6,500? Okay.
64 on that.
There's some discrepancy.
That's been recalculated, and his numbers, I had him revise his letter to reflect that.
It is 6,500 now. Okay, so roughly what?
Well, let me state it this way. The numbers you see in that packet are correct numbers.
Well, I didn't see it here.
I'm just saying, when I say 6,500, it's loosely around there.
Okay.
You have to read it.
Yeah, I was just looking for the
There's no
map. But anyway, it's roughly the same as what they have right now. It just puts everything on one piece of property between two buildings.
9,500 square feet to operate total. Like versus like right now, they're operating like 10,000 square feet.
But they're not using the garage section anyway right now, from what I saw last.
No.
They're not using that whole 10,000 square feet.
No.
So it's roughly about what they have.
Correct.
Okay. So,
It's not apples to apples.
yeah.
Any other questions or discussion?
Mr. Baker's comments, this is what happens when people do things in county government without any authority. I have yet, even though they say she said this, he said that, I think this, I think that, no one can show me a piece of paper or any authorization did. They just, homesteaded the property over there and took it over. I've never, it's the first time I've witnessed anything like this, and as a result, when you allow something like this to happen, it's chaos. It creates chaos. And how much time have we spent with this? And how much money have we lost? I could go on, but I'm not.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. Item 10,
Second.
all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Zoning, that got pulled today, by the requester, so there's nothing to do there. Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? All right. Meeting adjourned.
All right, 5 minutes.